feel like this is so all over the place, but this show is really all over the place. What's going on, you guys? It's your girl Diana back at you with another YouTube video. Today I wanted to give you guys my opinion on the new Halo TV series that has been streaming on Paramount+. If you're unaware, there is a new Halo TV series. Season 1 has already concluded as of this last Thursday, and there's only 9 episodes, so not a whole lot of content to go off of, but I do have some thoughts. I'm sure you guys have probably heard what other people's opinions are, so I wanted to throw mine into the mix with theirs. So if you're into anything Halo, video game, anime related, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more content like this. Give this video a thumbs up if you are a Halo fan so that it gets pushed out into the YouTube algorithm so that it reaches more Halo fans. And let's hop into this review because I got a lot to say. So I've actually been posting reviews after every episode had released on my TikTok, but since I have the ability to make longer than a 3-minute video here on YouTube, I wanted to give my overall thoughts and opinions on the series as a whole. For some context, just in case anybody is new or hasn't been able to watch the show just yet, this is a completely separate timeline than the normal Halo mainline stories or other related lore. So it has nothing to do with anything that's already existing for Halo. It's a completely new story. The showrunners basically wanted to do that to make this show a little bit more digestible for someone that has not been a fan of the Halo series since it first released, which I think was actually a smart decision because imagine trying to squeeze 20 years of lore into 9 episodes. That would have been an absolute dumpster fire of a series. So I think that that was a smart decision, making it its own thing and making it a little bit more like new fan friendly so that somebody that knows nothing about the Halo series can easily understand what's going on and not be completely lost in the story, as I think that they would have been if they had tried to go based off of the lore, like the books or even the video games. So I genuinely don't have any gripes with this being its own thing. I understand when they did it. I think it was a smart decision at the end of the day, and I don't think they would have been able to do the actual mainline story any justice in such a short time frame. So I think that that is completely fine. So the funny thing is that going into this, I had literally like ground level expectations. I had heard so many negative things about it that I was actually pleasantly surprised by episode 1. Episode 1, I thought that all of the CGI looked great. I thought the Spartans looked good. I thought the Covenant looked good. The plasma weapons were great. And there was a lot of action. Like, the show really started off really strong in my opinion, and I was, like I said, happily surprised by it. But after episode 1, I feel like we really lost a lot of steam, and you really saw where the creative differences in the story started to creep their way in, and I genuinely only think that there was about like 3 good episodes out of the 9 that they released. The thing that those 3 episodes had in common, which are episode 1, episode 5, I believe, and episode 9, which was the season finale, is that they were all very fast-paced. There was a lot of Covenant and Spartan battles that were very similar to what you would experience in the games, or even if you were reading the lore from the books. And the story revolved around the characters that have already been part of the Halo series from the get-go. Let me explain what I mean by that. So in this series, we are introduced to a few characters that have been added in by the creative team, and these characters are Quan, which is our teenage female protagonist. We have Maki, which she is a human that the Covenant has like indoctrinated and is using her. And we also have some weird, creepy guy that helps Halsey. I literally can't remember his name ever, but I just know that I don't like him and he's really weird. So I don't have any issue with adding new characters to a story like this since it is its own timeline. But the thing with these characters is that they weren't exactly written very well. So I'm specifically talking about Quan. So I realized that they wanted to tie in her home planet Madrigal into the whole story because I'm sure they're probably going to end up going back there in season 2, but her entire storyline is so bland. She's very one-dimensional. She's very much like, my dad was killed in battle, I want revenge, I need power. And it just kind of stays like that. Like, it's all about like liberation of her insurrectionist group of people, and it just never really progresses anywhere, and she stays very one note, very bland, which I, to be completely honest, could care less about her entire story. Every episode that I didn't like about the series was very heavily rooted in the magical storyline, and I know that sounds really harsh because I wanted to love a new female lead, but they just did not execute her character very well. Like I said, the story ended up being really boring. You don't have any kind of like emotional attachment to her or her story because she doesn't give you anything to attach to. Nothing ever jumps out at you. You never feel bad for her. She's just this like bratty teenager that wants to get her way. So I will say that I do think that the idea of her was great, but in retrospect, I think that the entire show would be a lot better if they didn't focus on that storyline and maybe just cut it out, because to be completely honest, all of the episodes that have Quan in them feel like filler episodes. The other new character that they introduced to us, Maki, the only reason that I don't really like her is because I don't really think she makes sense. So the Covenant hate all humans. So in my brain, I'm thinking, why did they pick a human and like take care of her and raise her, even if they are just using her? I feel like they would have thought of a different way to use humans. That's why I don't really like her character. She doesn't really make sense to me. She does have a couple cool scenes, but I will say I don't like the love story of her and Chief. Now let me get into that, because that's what we need to talk about next. I feel like this is so all over the place, but this show is really all over the place, so buckle up, you guys, because we're gonna be going up, down, left, right, because that's the roller coaster we went on with this show. In this show, we get a Master Chief and Maki love story, and I thought it was the strangest, most awkward thing that I have ever experienced, because why does Master Chief need a love interest? Why is it this, like, random Covenant spy girl? Like, for what? For what? It didn't sit right with me. I feel like the story could have been fine without it. Like, that was probably the most awkward part of the entire story, especially since some intimate things happened that you would never expect Master Chief to do, so yeah, I'll leave it at that. If you haven't watched it, you can go watch it for yourself. And speaking of Master Chief, although I knew he was going to take his helmet off because it was something that had been foreshadowed even before the show released, the amount of time that Master Chief spends without his helmet on is excessive and offensive, to be completely honest. I am sure this actor is great and fine and dandy and wanted his time to shine, but I don't care about what Master Chief's face looks like, because the amount of times that they had Master Chief literally running into battle and he didn't have his helmet on was like stupid. I literally would be sitting there like, for what? Why? Why would you not have your helmet on in this instance when you can literally get attacked? Or when you could crash a pelican? Like, why would you think, this is a really good time to just take the helmet off? He literally carries it around like an accessory, and it's more like a purse throughout the series because it's literally always just in his hand. And I would probably say that we saw Chief naked more than we saw him in his entire full-blown Spartan gear. I will say that they did write Dr. Halsey very well. I like her storyline. I think it is the most cohesive and most true to how she is in the actual mainline story. She is very much just disregarding everyone and wants to do what she thinks is best for humanity, so she's literally only interested in what she thinks is best. So I think they portrayed that very well. I like what they did with her story, and I think that she is probably the most canon character out of everyone. So clearly, needless to say, this story was obviously all over the place, like I said, in a hot mess, but overall, I want to say I probably give the series as a whole, if I want to rate it out of a 10, probably like a 4. I know what you're thinking. Dang, a 4? Yes! Yes, a 4, because although there were some episodes that I thought were really good and I actually really enjoyed, it just felt like, you know, like there was no consistency. The show was very inconsistent. You would get a good episode and then the next episode would be absolute garbage. If the show was a little bit more consistent, even if it was like an in-between between the dumpster fire and the good episodes, I feel like it would have been a lot more well received than it has been. So moving forward, I really do hope that they are taking what the fans of the series or even new fans are saying into consideration when going into season 2. At the end of season 1, we are kind of left at a blank slate. And by that I mean is we kind of get a fresh start at the end of the season finale. So at the end of the season finale, and spoiler alert, I'm literally just gonna say everything that happens, McKee, the Covenant girl, dies, so there is no longer a human associated with the Covenant, and the Covenant is angry that they lost their one person that can access the Forerunner technology. The UNSC has taken back the Forerunner artifacts, and Dr. Halsey is now a fugitive, a wanted fugitive that is trying to sneak off Reach and is basically bad. So everything's kind of reset to kind of the way that it is in the mainline canon storyline. So we have the Covenant, who hate humans and they no longer have a human associated with them. We have a reason for them to want to wage a war against the UNSC because the UNSC now has the Forerunner artifacts and they want to get those back. And we have Dr. Halsey, who is now one of the villains, and Cortana doesn't like her anymore, and neither do the Spartans. With that being said, I do hope that season 2 does draw a little bit more inspiration from the mainline story, just so that we can have that happy medium between pleasing the new fans as well as pleasing the long-term old fans of the actual Halo series. Season 2 is supposed to have new showrunners as well. So what I'd like to see moving forward in season 2, if I had it my way, is 1, I need to see Chief in his full-blown gear more often than I see him not in his gear. We need Master Chief with his helmet on, especially because in those 3 episodes that I mentioned, they all had Master Chief in full-blown Spartan gear, messing up the Covenant. So definitely more of Chief being Chief. I also definitely would like to not see Quan. And I know that sounds harsh, and I know I'm probably not gonna get that, but I really just don't care for her character. I don't see a need for her character, and her storyline is the blandest thing about the show. And then the last thing that I do want to see moving forward is more Spartan and Covenant action. I feel like we didn't really get too much of the Covenant in this series. It was more like a drama between all of the humans, and the Covenant was just kind of like a little side character, which is the complete opposite of how it should be. So I would love to have the Covenant be more prominent in season 2, especially since in the season finale we did get Atriox introduced to us, which Atriox is the main villain in Halo Infinite, who was like the only one of the Covenant that was able to basically almost defeat Master Chief. So I'm hoping that in season 2 they continue this theme of the Covenant being a more formidable foe, and that they have a larger role in the series, and that we focus more on the storyline between the Spartans and the Covenant kind of going to war against each other, since that's kind of the main story that the entire Halo series revolves around. Actually, there is one more thing that I would like to see in season 2 moving forward, is I want to see the actual Halo ring. So in season 1 we didn't actually see the Halo ring, we just saw it in kind of this like dreamland vision thing that McKee and Master Chief would have when they would interact with the Forerunner artifact. So I would like to see the actual Halo ring. I would like to actually go to where it is and also see the fall of Reach, since we didn't really see that, which is kind of like the main catalyst that starts like the entire storyline that we all know and love. So I would love to see the fall of Reach, and I would love to actually see the Halo rings in season 2. So to summarize everything, season 1 was definitely a roller coaster. We had some good episodes, we had some really terrible episodes, and we had some pretty mediocre episodes. So moving forward in season 2, I would love for a little bit more consistency. I also want a storyline that is more Spartan and Covenant focused, and I would love for there to be a lot more of Chief being Chief. feel like if you start to humanize him a little too much, it kind of takes away from the entire feel of the show being a Halo TV show and makes it a little bit more generic. So I would love to see a little bit more of Chief being Chief, and of course have him keep his armor on. But overall, I didn't completely hate the show. I didn't like it either. I'm kind of lukewarm about it. But that's gonna be it for today's video. I know this one was a little bit of a longer video, but let me know what you guys think of the series down below in the comments. Would love to hear, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!